Welcome to Dark Dreams.
The moon is full and it is dripping with blood.
Now comes Blood Moon Rising magazine.
Original fiction,
Creature features,
nightmarish artwork.
interviews, and other original horror.
Visit bloodmoonrisingmagazine.com and join our rising legion.
Horrified Press. horrifiedpress.wordpress.com.
What's Left by L.A. SYKES. This piece will be featured in the Bones Anthology, brought to you by James Ward Kirk Press. The story begins. Splinters of wood jagged from the handle of the old spade, slithering between her blistering skin. Her sweat sheened like stubborn dew, yet her back felt stronger than it ever had. Sweat of rage, sweat of hate, rage in her bones, hate in her soul. She respired a cool serene of purpose, leaned back against the gravestone and traced his engraved name with her index finger as her wedding ring grazed the marble with venom in its elemental clash. Widowed at 55. Too young for that. No more taken, please. Please, not this, not her, please, no. She scratched her nails into the lettering with a sneer on her lips and tears on her cheeks, and her nails clawed and cracked. She exhaled a howl from a virgin depth that rattled her ribcage and swayed her heart. She spat on the marble and gripped the spade and thrust it back into the sodden dirt and heaved the mud, deeper and deeper towards... He's smiling through the window of the execution chamber, wide and leery. He cannot see through, they tell you, but he's looking into your eyes, down your veins, and through your mind. He laughs. The doctor is expressionless, and mechanically checking the equipment and dosage, and the guards stare at their shoes, and no one but you can see he's staring into your eyes, down your veins, and through your mind. He speaks, and the doctor taps a syringe, and the guards shuffle their feet, and nobody hears him as you read his lips, his wide, smiling lips, and you hear it distantly, and you can read his words on his mouth, forming for you, and he knows you and him are locked in gaze, and he says, the depths of the stinking loose earth, and him, and the place he will not rest, ever. I love being out in the wide open country, and I love the tranquility of the night, and being free. And I finally was free to do what I wanted, to embrace my nature, the predator within. That night, I just wanted to smell blood on the dusk air, and I did, and that blood smelled delightful. His lips stretch wider and his nostrils flare, and his stare penetrates your nerves, and you collapse inside out, and you weep and screech, and they restrain you, and you don't watch him laughing on the gurney, because you don't want to see him fade peacefully into the abyss. Worms and mud, freshly dug and piled and slid on top, more heaves of sodden turf, patches of decaying greenery, slung over her shoulder, rage in her bones, splinters in her hands, no pain, blood from her hands, for blood on his hands. Mahogany coffin recoils the steel, shocking wrists and ripped fingers and blistered palms, throws the spade, digs and scrambles with desperate claws and sweep away the stinking dirty mud, rasps for breath and scrambles outstretched limbs for the chainsaw, rips the cord. Why? For the smell of fucking blood? The smell of fucking blood? drives the whirring spiked blur with decimation in her sinew, cutting a rough ellipse in the chipping polished wood. She lays down the chainsaw, heaves up the debris, and discards it into the soft wall of the grave. She pinches the eyelids and rips them open and yanks him by lank and brittle hair and heaves him by his neck upright. Needles of drizzle descend from the furious sky. Why, you fucking bastard? Why? She was all I had left. She was my life. Never did anything to you. Screams and claws at the dead skin, ripping away chunks and denting the decaying cheekbones with her flailing fists. Answer me, you fucking sick bastard, she squeals visceral frenzy and pleads through her inflamed eyes. He fixes his inert eyes on hers, drags a smile, and through cracked lips whispers, "Her scent. I can still smell it. It's in the raindrops now." She convulses with wrath and struggles with the handle of the chainsaw, greased with blood and tears and rain and stinking mud, but the chainsaw raged throughout the night until finally there was nothing but rage and bones, hate and souls, despair and loss, and silence. The Cosmic Kid by TODD NELSEN. Originally published in Schlock, Timeless Worlds. My real name is not important. Names are like stars and only shine as brightly as the man behind them. What is important is I'm a fighter. And not only that, but I'm the fighter that went the distance. 5 rounds, toe-to-toe with Zoltan Green. Some say the greatest boxing champion the universe has ever seen. Not bad for an Earthman from New Jersey, I'd say. They called me, and still call me, the Cosmic Kid. We were moving into round 3. None of them thought I'd take it this far, but I'd proven them wrong. The champ had pounded me, knocked me down. I'd beat the count of 10 twice already. Busted me up. My face was swollen and bruised. My nose was broken. I had a cut above my left eye. It felt like my brain was rattling in my head, and my vision was starting to blur, but I was still standing. I'd taken 2 rounds of abuse, and was still on my feet. At the moment, I was in my corner, getting the juice from my trainer, RPX-32. "He'll try to KO you now, kid," the robot was saying, his voice sounding metallic as it always did. "Just like he's been doing. The champ's a real slugger. Ain't no way around it. But you gotta stay away from his hands, kid. Don't try to take him head on. Stick and move, stick and move." He shuffled his feet, showing me how to do it. "You got that?" I spit and pushed my mouth guard into place with the tip of my glove and bit down hard, probably a little harder than I should have. My teeth felt like they'd moved a few inches. Stick and move, stick and move. Got it. Right. "Good," my trainer said, looking me over. "Good. See that? We have a fighter here, Joe. The kid's got hot." Joe agreed. "The kid's got hot, all right." I looked back over my shoulder to my cutman, Joe, a 600-pound Eridani who was fisting mouthfuls of larvae into his face. He smiled, a white and squishy grin, and continued to massage my neck with one of his many arms. "Listen to the robot, kid," he said to me. "RPX is the best." I swallowed hard. I'd trained with the best and fought the best to get where I was. This was my shot, my chance. "So what you waiting for?" RPX asked. "An invitation? Get back in there, show 'em what you're made of." Round 3. I bobbed left. I bobbed right. Then the champ stepped in close and sent me a short, straight punch to the gut that sent me whirling back to the ropes. As I tried to catch my footing, the champ came at me, his arms swinging, with a series of jabs, crosses, and right hooks. It felt like I'd been caught in a tornado. "Get out of there, kid!" RPX-32 cried. "He's killing you!" The robot turned to Joe. "He's killing him, ain't he, Joe?" Joe agreed. "Yeah, he's killing him, all right." But I couldn't get around him. The champ controlled the ring. It was his fight now. He bounced from side to side, keeping me boxed in. So I did the only thing I could do. I covered up. I kept my hands tight to my head and my elbows close to my body, just as I'd been taught, keeping my head safe and cushioning the body shots. But this didn't stop him from hitting me. Every punch he sent me clobbered me like a meteor strike. If the champ would have been more wild and less experienced, I could have circled out of the pinch and brought the fight back to him, back to the center of the ring. But the champ knew his stuff. He was an experienced fighter. He was the best, and the best kept their cool. When I leaned back, he leaned in. When I leaned forward, he leaned out. He backed the fight into the ropes and kept it there the rest of the round. When the bell finally rang and I stumbled back to my corner, I was seeing triple. The champ hit hard. "Okay, so that didn't go so good," the robot said. Joe agreed. "Not so good. You gotta stay off them ropes, kid. He's pulverizing you." "Pulverizing," Joe agreed. I was breathing hard. The robot was right. Joe was right, too. My body felt like meat. If it weren't for the chair beneath me, I was sure I'd topple over. I could feel Joe's steady hand on my shoulder, his lips smacking another mouthful of mush. The robot leaned down to me. "Let me ask you a question, kid. You giving up? You ready for the towel?" I didn't answer. I felt like I was a million miles away from the ring, and drifting. RPX leaned in closer, close enough that if he would have had bad breath, I would have got a whiff of it. "Kid, I've trained a lot of fighters in my day," he said. "A lot of fighters," Joe agreed. "The best. And I ain't never seen one like ya. Never. So listen up, kid," the robot said. His voice was the sound of an unrelenting machine. "You better get busy winning, man, 'cause the champ didn't come here to lose." Though my vision was blurred, I looked across the ring at Zoltan Green, and what I saw there, in the opposite corner, wasn't a man at all, but a fighter that wouldn't quit, a fighter that wouldn't stop, until I was on my back and counting stars. Our names didn't matter here. It didn't matter that I was the underdog and he was on top. He knew it too. Here was only blood, brawn, footwork, a well-placed jab. My vision cleared a little then. I saw what I needed to do. If I wanted to win, I'd have to turn this around and take the fight beyond the name and back to the man. I'd have to take the fight to him. "That's right, kid," the robot said. "That's right. Now you show him what you came here for." Round 4. I was covered up again. The champ was hitting me hard. It felt like meteors dropping down from above, from below. He was pounding me and then backing me to the ropes as he had done before. I couldn't get around it. Punch drunk, I could barely hear the robot's pleas. "Get out of there, kid! Get out of there!" But then the champ made a mistake. He swung his signature punch, a punch so incredible a planet had been named after it. I guess the champ figured the fight had gone on too long, and he'd end it right there. He called it Ol Kronos, just like one of the 12 Titans, and it was a whopping left cross. Normally it would have knocked me right off my feet, sent me back a century, back into the next solar system, in fact, and then some, but I dodged it, and it sent the champ into a cold spin. "Now, kid, now!" And seeing the opening, I socked him with a rising half uppercut. "Again, kid," the robot said. "Again!" And immediately followed it with a right hook. The champ stepped off me, then I circled out from under him. But the champ was strong, and as I backed to the center of the ring, he followed me a second time, and a third, and a fourth, and a fifth. So I jabbed with my right. "That's how you do it!" And I jabbed with my left, the champ's next cross-counter missing me by inches. "Look at the kid go, Joe! Stick and move! Stick and move!" And when the bell rang this time, I wasn't the one feeling unsure on my feet. It was the champ who stumbled. "Now we're talking!" "Yep," Joe said. "Now we're talking." The robot raised a hand to one of his ears and cupped it like he was listening to a far-off distance. "You hearing the fat lady sing, Joe?" the robot asked. No fat lady singing in my ears," Joe replied. "If that fat lady's singing, she's singing it someplace else." He shoved another mouthful of squishy larvae in and smiled. Both of them were pleased. "Okay, kid, this is your round. Your time to shine. You ready?" I gave the robot my best fighter, a bit of Martian Marciano with a touch of bionic Balboa, and nodded. I was ready to win this fight. Like I said, some never get their shot. The next round was mine. Round 5. The champ had better reach and was stronger, but I was quicker on my feet, more alert. My footwork was like a miracle, many said, and I danced around him. I toyed with him, played with him. I let him think he had me, then hit the champ with a hook that sent him reeling back to the Big Bang. When he fell back into the ropes, I pummeled his body with a series of close-range hits. Zwap! 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 When his hands dropped, I leaned forward and hit him with an overhand right. Pow! And with an overhand left. Kaboom! And before I could come again, he socked me with a humdinger that lifted me off my feet, knocking me out cold. As they picked me up and wheeled me out of the ring, RPX said, "You got hot, kid." Joe agreed. "Hot? Never seen one like you, never will." "Never," Joe said, slopping his lips. But I was light years away. All I was seeing were stars.